Oh, got a little water in it. So that was the man with the horn on the piccolo trumpet. The piccolo trumpet. It's a piccolo trumpet. It's a little trumpet. Piccolo means small. Now, I played a little bit of this before with a former student of mine, or a brief student of mine, Mike Breutigam. He played second trumpet in a piece that I was playing from, who was it? Gottfried Stölzel, double concerto. And so I talked a little bit about the piccolo, but this is, the piccolo trumpet is a very interesting instrument because it's half the length of a standard trumpet. You can't play higher with it because it's half the length. It just means that the overtone series that you would have, I mean, if this is almost double the length, it's in C, this is in B flat, so it's because it's in C, it's instead of 8 feet, it's 7 feet long. And this is an instrument that's 4 feet, but with the extra slides you can play it. It's complicated, but to make a long story short, this is 2 feet long. And 8 feet, 2 feet actually would be 9 feet and 2 and a third foot and whatever. But, you know, you can get all complicated about this, and it's really, there's always going to be somebody that knows it better than you anyway. So to make a long story short, the piccolo trumpet has certain aspects about it that make it very special. But just because it's a piccolo trumpet doesn't mean that you should play a tiny mouthpiece with it. And I want to say that for most trumpet players. This is the same mouthpiece that I play in the piccolo trumpet. It's the same size mouthpiece that I play here. It's just that this has another form because I was more interested in the aesthetics. If you look into the mouthpiece itself, you will realize that the cup is the same form, the back bore and the bore of the mouthpiece is the same. I don't know if Mike can get a good shot of that. Am I holding it long enough and steady enough? Good. So, but this is the same mouthpiece that I'm going to put in the piccolo trumpet. Even though I wasn't very successful in playing that very nicely with this mouthpiece, I'm going to try to do the same thing here. Again, you have to make sure, oh, I know what it is. This thing is, I have to turn off my fan here because it causes too much vibration in the ear itself, and it's difficult. Oh, not bad for an old guy on his 65th birthday. That's what I'm thinking. If you're not, I might as well just say it myself. Say it too, Sean. How was that?
Not bad.
Okay,
for
thanks.
a guy on his 65th birthday.
Yeah, the thing is, you see, when I was about your age, son, I went to Budapest to play for a competition, and the great Timothy Dockschitzer was there, and in the jury, Dockschitzer. I showed a picture of him, or one of his, he was the premier solo trumpeter in Russia at the time. He's still regarded the greatest Russian trumpet player that ever lived. And there was the famous Philip Jones there, who was the most successful, maybe not the greatest. And he told me, I may not be the best trumpet player in the world, but I'm sure the richest. I said, okay, great, now I know. But here's the idea. He sat on the jury, Philip Jones and Dockschitzer and a guy named Jean-Pierre Maté. He was a head honcho of a newspaper or magazine that came out in Switzerland at the time. He was a sort of Königsmaker. He pushed a guy named Håkan Hardenberger until he was successful even though he never won really any serious competitions, at least not when he played, and I played in the competition, he didn't. But to make a long story short, I went there, and I prepared the Jolivet concerto on the B-flat trumpet because I didn't have, I thought, a good C trumpet. Wasn't that I didn't have a good C trumpet, I didn't have a proper C trumpet for the piece. A C trumpet, to play a French piece like that, it's very difficult that you have a smaller bore C trumpet, but I'll do that in another YouTube. Maybe not today, but you'll hear about that this year in 2021. I'll show it and I'll play part of these pieces and whatever. Even though I did prepare for that yesterday, there's only so many things you can do, and I think it's important to explain some things also. But anyway, what happened was, because I was practicing everything on the B-flat trumpet, after the second round, I just played the Ionesco Legend, and Doug Schutzer was saying, "Oh, this is a great piece." And Jones and Mattei, and I got through the second round, but I'd been practicing too much. I had a crooked tooth at the time, and they said, "Yeah, you're doing great. Now you're in the third round, and you could win this competition." I said, "Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to continue." "What? You can't do that. Oh, you could win." I said, "Katz, I want to be able to play the trumpet when I'm 65. That's what I said to him. "I want to be able to play the trumpet when I'm 65, when I'm 70, when I'm 75. And if I force my embouchure now on this crooked tooth, I'm going to cut into a nerve. I'm not going to be able to play the trumpet anymore. I need to change my teeth position and probably my embouchure, and I'm going to do it." And this was 1985, son, 1985, 86. Yeah, it was just after I left. No, I was still playing with German brass. I changed my embouchure as I was doing this. I actually changed my embouchure as I was still doing gigs and playing concerts and Bach concertos and cantatas and then recordings and jazz and whatever. But I have to explain what I did was change my teeth at night. I had a herausnehmbar or removable braces. I'll just show you that. Can you hold the trumpet? Yeah, you got 3 trumpets in your hand now, son. Great.
Okay.
Just hold on to them because we're going to get back to it. Now, I think that this is just, I think, a very, very important point. Because I actually got a call from somebody from Argentina just recently talking about him having problems with his teeth and about crooked teeth and whatever. Well, this is an apparatus that I wore in what it says here, the 2nd of the 12th, 1986. It says right on here. Yep, 2nd of the 12th, 1986. So I was still wearing these in 1986. And this is an apparatus, and I'm telling you, you get one tooth pulled this way and one pushed that way and whatever, and it's just, it's like a bad dream, I'm telling you. And I used to wear this at night when I slept to move these teeth around and to push them into the right position. If you can imagine that. And here on the bottom also, pushing these teeth were also crooked too. But it's one thing to change a tooth position, but you can only do it when you have room for it. Now my father had a small jaw, and my mother a large jaw and very good teeth. So of course I'm the genetic product of a woman. My mother was 1 meter 85, and my father was like 1 meter 66, something like that, about the size of Napoleon. He wasn't a big guy. And so I have the teeth of my mother and the jaw of my father, basically. So I had to sort it out. So I thought, well, what can I do? And one of my students was a dentist, and his wife was an orthodontist. So I had to talk to them about it, and they said, well, what we could do is strip between the teeth. We could file the dentine between the teeth all the way up to the gums, and then you got enough room to park it in. Well, here's the story. How do you get 10 Cadillacs into 9 parking spaces? Let's say they're all supposed to be lined up in front of the Waldorf Astoria in front of New York City, and there's 10 beautiful new black Cadillacs. Well, How do you get them? How do you get 10 Cadillacs into 9 parking spaces, Sean?
Take off the bumpers of all
You
of them.
take off the bumpers. You know the story before, right?
I know the story.
So you take off the bumpers of each of them, and then the sum of 10 Cadillacs, front and back bumpers, is probably the length of one Cadillac itself, at least. And that's what I did. I had them stripped, my teeth, and then I had them worked out. I'll just put them right up here on the floor. I don't want them on the floor. I mean, this would still fit probably in the bottom. Let me just put it in. Yeah, still fits, yeah. And I used to wear these at night. Well, I'm telling you, you'd wake up every morning and you thought you had somebody else's teeth in your mouth because they were really forced around. But I realized that it's very, very necessary to get the proper position of the rim of the mouthpiece onto the position of your lips, and the basis for your embouchure are your teeth. If somebody thinks they can change their embouchure and not change the fundamental structure of their teeth to support their embouchure, they're making a mistake. So if I just put this out like this, you can see that that's exactly the way I wanted the mouthpiece to hit on my teeth. And then the lips come over it, and everything works just fine. The problem was to avoid this pressure point, I had did you get that pretty well? To avoid this pressure point of this one tooth, I was playing off to the side. And now I play 90% top lip and 10% bottom lip, which is unheard of in the trumpet world. Most of them play 50-50 or 60-40. But I was playing 40-60 because the top lip, where the crooked tooth was, I had to avoid that pressure point. And so even though I was working really hard and I could practice every day and I could even play the Brandenburg at the end of the day, it wasn't a question of that, I knew that if I continue to force this part of my lip at a certain point, I'm going to destroy the sensitivity, especially of the nerve cells. And then I won't be able to form an embouchure anymore. I mean, you can only force a muscle so much before then the nerve starts to hurt. You know, if I just even push just in that little point there, right? It hurts like hell, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not using a lot of energy to do that, you know? So it's here, it's not here. So I decided to do this. Well, everybody said, oh, you must be crazy, you know, you won the Munich competition and the Geneva competition and whatever. And you've got to go on, you've got to continue this competition and win in where was it, Budapest? And I said, you know, I won in Munich and I won in Geneva, but it didn't help me because I don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. And these days it would be good if I was a woman and had blonde hair and blue eyes. It's not only about how you play, it's about what a public expects you to be and what a producer or an agent can sell you as. So I lost all my illusions about becoming a great solo artist when I realized that what you have to be is Deutschland's, looks for a superstar or whatever, you know, somebody is like, what's this guy with the dimples in his cheeks?
I don't know.
Modern Talking? There's this guy, Modern Talking?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Dieter Bohlen, you mean?
Dieter Bohlen, yeah.
Okay.
Dieter Bohlen has more control over what German culture is about in 2020. Stop that. 2020 than anybody that really understands art and culture. And this is not good. But the next YouTube that you're going to see when you come back to The Man with the Horns, Richard Carson Steuart, number 26, I'll play a little Bach on the piccolo trumpet for you, like I promised at the beginning of this YouTube anyway. Till then.